What's going on, gentlemen and gentle ladies? In today's video, I am going to be going over the one book that not only completely changed my mindset in the way I look at money and the world, but it's the book that led me to earning my first six figures. But before we get into that, I just want to go ahead and say welcome if you're new here and welcome back if you're an OG. And since I know this video is going to be absolutely amazing, go ahead and do me a favor and smash that like button good and early. Let's jump right into this. Now, the book that I want to discuss today is going to be none other than Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In this video, I'm going to be going over 5 things that I took away from this book when I first read it at the age of 14 and how you can take these exact same concepts in order to be successful when it comes to your finances. Now, when it comes to finances, most people have what Robert Kiyosaki likes to call the poor mindset. Now, what this means is for the average everyday person, what we do is we go get a job, we work extremely hard, giving them all of our time and effort, and somewhere along the lines, we ask for a raise. Whereas where it comes to the rich mindset, rich people ask themselves, how can I build something that pays me money even when I am sleeping, even when I am not working? Now, you don't have to be a guru in the stock market or understand the complexities of real estate investing, but what you do have to do is ask yourself some simple questions. If you are sick and unable to go to work, do you still get paid? When you are sleeping, do you still get paid? If you are on vacation, do you still get paid? Because if the answer is no, you are doing what Robert Kiyosaki also explained with the poor mindset, is that you are trading your time for money. Now, we all know that time is limited. Not only that, you can only work so much in any given day, meaning that once you clock out, once you are no longer working, you are no longer making money. And this, my friend, is a recipe to be working all the way until the day you are no longer on this earth. Now, with that being said, what I want you to do is just take a simple look at your life and ask yourself, what are some ways that I can accumulate more income when I am not working, i.e. investing, real estate, starting a side business, or content creation such as myself. Now, the second thing I want to bring up that Robert talked about in this book is how your house, the house that you live in, isn't necessarily an asset. Most people tend to think that if they own a house, then you are considered wealthy. But to completely deboggle this, you have to understand what an asset is. An asset is an instrument that puts money into your pocket. Now, when it comes to a house, most people are either paying rent, a mortgage, insurance, property taxes, and these are all liabilities that take money out of your pocket. So what I want you to understand with this is that a lot of people purchase a home and many other things so that they can look a certain way, keeping up with the Joneses, Jonas Brothers, whatever the hell that quote is. Most people buy a home in order to look a certain way to fit a certain status. But what I want you to do before purchasing a home, if you haven't done so yet, what I want you to do is ask yourself first, does this take money away from me? Or does this put money in my pocket? And this simple concept alone can completely shift the way you look at the world and the way you look at your finances. It'll put a little pause in your step and force you to ask yourself, is this really the type of commitment that I want to make at this time? Because if it's not going to benefit you, then my dog, you do not need to be in the house. Now, of course, this varies for everybody. Some people absolutely need a house. You might have a big family, wife, kids, whatever the case may be, where you need space. But if you're not in that situation, then I would highly recommend, just like for myself, I would highly recommend that you take your time before purchasing a property to live in. Now, if you're purchasing a property as an investment, then by all means, do your thug dizzle. But just understand that purchasing a home to live in often comes with more liabilities. So that automatically makes your home no longer an investment. It doesn't make it an asset. Now, the third thing I want to talk about here is probably by far the most important concept that Robert Kiyosaki brought up in this book. And that concept is going to be about how school teaches us to be employees. It doesn't teach us to be an owner. When we are in school, we are fundamentally programmed on the fact that if I read whatever material and I go take the test and I get a good grade, that my life will be absolutely perfect. And you have to understand, after going through so many years of that programming, that once you get out into the real world, you will quickly discover that that's not necessarily the case. School teaches us to work hard, get good grades, go get a job, stay loyal to that company, climb up the ladder, work until we're 65, and then croak. School doesn't teach you how to operate a business. Now, I'm not saying I have an issue with the educational system at all, wink, wink, but you have to understand that they are not teaching the things that actually matter. Things such as how taxes actually work, how to own and operate a business, how to genuinely build wealth just by making very super simple investment choices. Now, again, I would just like to point out that you don't have to be Einstein to understand these concepts, but you do have to realize that most people will go through school, get educated, get a job, and work the entirety of their lives without realizing that they were never truly taught how to utilize money. Now, the fourth thing I want to bring up that I learned while reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad is that income alone doesn't make you wealthy. You got to understand that there's a big difference between being rich and being wealthy. Now, one thing I learned when I was in the corporate world climbing the ladder is that there are a lot of people that make a lot of money, but they still feel broke. They still feel poor. Now, I bet you're wondering why. It's simply because wealth isn't just about how much income you make, but it's more so about cash flow independence. And let me explain exactly what I mean by that. If your lifestyle is growing with your paycheck, meaning that you get that promotion and you start getting paid more, so you go and get a more expensive home, a more expensive car, you start doing more luxurious things with your life, then all you become is a highly paid employee. So in this book, it really taught me that it's not necessarily about how much money you earn, but how much money you can keep. And not only that, how much money can you keep that's earning you more money on top of that? This simple concept alone not only affects poor people, but it affects the middle class and rich. One thing I noticed while working in corporate America with people that did have six-figure salary is that their expenses matched their salary. So they were always poor. They couldn't do anything. They always felt broke. They were still struggling with their bills. So just understand that making more money isn't necessarily the end all be all, because there are plenty of people in this world that make money but are unable to truly keep it in the long term. Now, I know I said number 3 was the most important, but I lied, because this 5th point is by far the most crucial. Oh my God. It is literally the most important part of this book. And if you made it this far, I just want to go ahead and say thank you. And if you haven't done so yet, please do me a favor and hit that like button and leave a comment down below. Now, for the 5th point, I want to talk about how poor and rich is a mindset. It's not what's actually in your bank account. Now, if you actually decide to go ahead and read this book, and I'll probably find me a little Amazon link that I can leave down below in the description for you to go ahead and get this book, because it will change your life. But one thing that was talked about quite frequently in this book was the difference between Poor Dad and Rich Dad. All right. And Poor Dad was Robert Kiyosaki's actual father. Rich Dad was his friend's father. All right, just in case you don't want to read the book, this is why it's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So this is a book about how he learned things from his father, his actual father, which is AKA Poor Dad, and the things that he learned from his rich father, AKA Rich Dad. Poor Dad in the book was poor, all right? But he was highly educated and he worked his ass off every single day. But why was he poor? This is why. Now, the biggest issue with Poor Dad in this book was the fact that although he was highly educated, he still had to work his ass off every single day for not a lot of money. Poor Dad believed that risk was too dangerous. Don't take any risk. Don't invest in that stock. Don't go buy any real estate. Don't do anything of that nature. It's too risky. Poor Dad also believed that debt is bad. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So he would never go to the bank to get a loan, to get a home, to start a business, to do whatever the case. Poor Dad believed that any debt was bad debt. And ultimately what kept Poor Dad poor was the fact that he believed that all you had to do was play it safe, go to work every day, retire at the age of 65, and just go about life like that. Whereas Rich Dad in the story, the first things that he taught Robert Kiyosaki was learn how money actually works. A lot of people wake up every day and don't necessarily understand money. You don't understand fractional banking. You don't understand the banking system alone. You don't understand inflation or what's going on at the Federal Reserve. All of these economic events that are happening each and every day that affect the money you make, that affect the lifestyle you live. Now, me as a day trader, I trade indices such as the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, and I also trade commodities such as gold and silver. So keeping up with these economic events is crucial for me. It is absolutely vital that I keep up with these events because knowing what's happening in the economy allows me to make better decisions when it comes to day trading and investing. Now, the next thing that Rich Dad taught Robert Kiyosaki in this book is that you have to learn how to strategically acquire debt, or what he likes to call smart debt. All right, now this is going to be the debt that you acquire when you go to the bank asking for a business loan or asking for a loan in order to get you an investment property or whatever the case may be. This is going to be good debt. Now, of course, every investment comes with risk, but at the end of the day, no risk, no Ferrari. If you know, you know. People who play it safe their entire life tend to just not live a great life. And in this life, you only get one, and you're gonna have to learn to take some chances, my dog. And one of the most important things that Rich Dad taught Robert in this book is that you have to build assets before luxuries. You gotta knuckle down, bro, and stack your assets. All right, you need things paying you for when you clock out. All right, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with working a 9 to 5. Please understand that you can work a 9 to 5, take a portion of that money, invest it into whatever endeavor you're interested in, and let that investment pay you over time in the hopes that your investments, time after time, every single paycheck, over time, your investments will be able to fund your lifestyle so that you, one, don't have to work as much, or two, you don't have to work at all. This is what I like to call buying back your time. Say, for instance, you make $1,000 a week, and from every $1,000, you take $100 out and you invest, and you invest, and you invest. Now, let's just say hypothetically over time, after making those contributions to your investments, that those investments start to pay you about $300 a week, right? Let's just keep the numbers simple, which is about $1,200 a month, right? This is now $1,200 that you do not have to work for, right? Okay, so you just bought back a week of your time every single month. So that means you just bought back 12 weeks. That's 3 months of your life that you bought back every single year simply by making a few investments. This is very vital, man. This is very important. And over time, as you keep making those contributions to your investments, whatever the case may be, whether that be the stock market, real estate, building a business, whatever it is, as those investments start to grow and grow and grow, it'll be able to fund your lifestyle. It'll be able to give you your time back to where you can start to do things that you want to do versus having to work all the time. But with all that being said, what I want you to understand the most is that being poor is a choice, just like being rich is a choice. So you can wake up tomorrow and decide that you are going to do everything it takes in order to build assets that pay you money when you are not working. And I'm going to be honest, it takes time and it's not easy and there's a lot of risk involved. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm just letting you know that when you take a chance, when you risk, chances are you may just make some money, right? There's no guarantees. I'm not telling you there's a guarantee you make any money. There's always risk. But when it comes to risk, no Ferrari. All right? I want you to go get that tatted on your neck. No risk, no Ferrari. This is very important. Now, you can also wake up tomorrow and decide to do none of the things that we just discussed in this video. And that, to me, is what I like to call choosing to be poor, because you now have the information. You now have a little piece of what it takes in order to start to change your life. So if you choose to wake up tomorrow, or you choose to wake up after watching this video and decide to not take any action at all whatsoever to learn ways to make more money, to make more income, especially income when you are not working, aka passive income, then my friend, unfortunately, you are choosing to be poor. Now, I'm not saying this in an insulting manner. I'm not talking at you. I'm talking with you, and I'm just letting you know that, hey, as your guide, as the person you come to listen to, or whatever the case may be, I can't just teach you how to handle women. I can't just teach you how to be fit. I have to teach you the basic fundamentals of what it takes in order to start building your income, because this is going to make you a better person overall in every realm and endeavor. So what I need you to do after watching this video, first thing first, I need you to go follow me on Instagram, shameless plug. I'm really trying to grow on that platform. I don't know why it's so hard to get followers on Instagram, but if you made it this far, go ahead and do me a favor, follow me on Instagram. Go like a couple of posts, leave a couple of comments. If you got it in your heart to do so, I'm already thanking you from the bottom of my heart. But for the second thing I want you to do is just wake up tomorrow, get on YouTube, get on the internet, and just search ways to make money online, ways to make money with a side hustle, ways to make extra income within whatever field or career you're in. Because trust me, there is always a way if you are willing to put in the work. But that's all I have for you all. Big shout out to Robert Kiyosaki. If you ever come across this video, I just want to let you know that at the age of 14, you absolutely changed my life. You made my life better, and you made me a very wealthy man. So I just want to go ahead and say thank you in advance, just in case you do come across this video. But for everyone else, that's all I have. If any of this hit home, please go ahead and do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a beat. My name is Timothy. This is the Timothy Speaks YouTube channel, and I cannot wait to catch you in the next one. Peace.